So hello guys, this is the motion chapter, which is actually we are dealing with the part 2. So in the first part 1 we saw about motion, which we dealt with distance, displacement, speed and velocity. So in this we are going to mainly discuss about average speed and average velocity. So that is something which is very important. We will also discuss about acceleration and its formulas. That is also something we did with. So right away, let's get started. I'm sorry. Okay. So today in this class we're going to see about, mainly we're going to see about average speed, average velocity, and acceleration. These are something which is very important to understand. So here the word average, which is something which is very important for us to understand. So as we already said, you know what is speed, you know what is velocity. Speed according to us is basically distance by time. This is velocity, is same speed but direction. Speed with direction. That is very important to understand. So here according to us we will describe average speed, but first let us see what you learned in the previous video. So as I have already said, there is, if a particle moves like this and ends here, the total path length here is basically distance. However, displacement is basically the arrow starts from here to here. That is basically displacement. This is basically displacement. We usually use arrows because it's a vector. Very important and easy concept. So basically the base for average speed and average velocity is basically this. So please, you can see my previous video. I explained clearly what is distance and displacement. With this we can be able to go with average speed, average velocity and so on, and even acceleration, which we dealt in this video. Okay, so first let's discuss about average speed. So as I already said, speed is basically equal to distance by time, right? But average speed is something we discuss about total. So if a object starts here and goes all the way down here, then the average speed of this particle is basically, total distance by total time. So suppose a particle starts here and goes all the way down here. This is basically about 8 meters and it takes a time of 3 seconds. Then what is the average speed? So average AVG speed is basically equal to 8 by 3. That is something very important to understand. Meters per second. Usage of units is very important, mainly for JEE. So 8 by 3 is basically 2.67 meters per second. This is the average speed. Something which is very important for us to understand. This is average speed. Now we will deal with average velocity. This is also one of the most important concepts. Average velocity. So according to average velocity, same thing. Suppose a particle starts all the way down here and ends here. However, it has a displacement like this, as you already told in the previous video. So average velocity is basically total displacement. It is basically total displacement by total time. So here maybe suppose the 8-meter distance with same 3 seconds. However, yes. However, the displacement is about 2 meters. So what is the average velocity? Average velocity is basically 2 by 3, which is 0.67. So 0.67, and don't forget meters per second. This is basically average velocity. So this velocity is basically, as I already told you, is a vector quantity. So this is also something very important to understand. I hope you all noted down this. Now, this is something very important to understand. As I already told you, let's try to solve a question. So in this question, a man travels due south for about, you can say about 6 meters, and then he travels due east for about 8 meters. So this is something very important. Please note it down. So he travels 6 meters due south. 6 meters for 2 seconds. Here he travels 8 meters for 3 seconds. So find the average speed and average velocity. So here the average speed, AVG speed, is basically the total distance. What is the total distance? Well, it's easy. I'm sorry. It's basically 6 plus 8, which is 14 meters by how many seconds? 5 seconds. Meters per second. So you can use the basic division method and to solve this. So this is the average speed. However, what about the average velocity? Average velocity is basically the total displacement. Is this the displacement? No. This is not the, definitely not the displacement. The displacement is from here to here, which is that. Okay, so by Pythagoras theorem, root of 6 square plus 8 square, which is basically equal to 10 meters. So 10 meters is basically the displacement. So 10 by total time, which is 5, which is 2 meters per second. This is basically the average velocity. Something which is very important. So same thing as for distance and displacement, average velocity is usually smaller or equal to average speed. Very important concept. Wonderful question for this is done. Okay, now we will actually deal with acceleration. Acceleration is a whole new concept. Acceleration is basically a particle starting at some velocity. Whatever time you consider, the only time you start is the time. Like time even can be negative. You can start at any time you want. It's basically moving at initial speed or velocity, and then it's again moving at final velocity, and this would be your acceleration. Acceleration is basically speeding up. Speeding up. Very important concept. So acceleration is basically speeding up through some time t. So we define acceleration as the rate of change on it, rate of change of velocity is acceleration. Rate is basically refers to the time. Very important, time. So we can actually derive the formula A equals V minus U by T. A equals V minus U by T. What is V and U? Both of them are final minus initial. So the change in velocity by time gives you the acceleration. So change in velocity is basically V minus U. The final velocity minus the initial velocity. It's very important to understand. So let's deal with the sum here. So suppose a particle is moving with the velocity 5 meters per second, which is initial velocity, and the particle here is now 10 meters per second, which is the final velocity. Find the acceleration if the time it takes is basically 2.5 seconds. So we definitely use the formula A equals V minus U by T. What is V? 10, which is the final. This is the final. So change in velocity